of Somos Raza, I learned how history was repeating itself, and about the Black Panthers, the Brown Berets, Emilio Zapata, Malcolm X, and many other revolutionary leaders and heroes that many of our school's history books that did not mention or taught us.
I also want to acknowledge the people that put this conference together. This is the first one of this type that I get the privilege of speaking at as a keynote speaker, and I want to thank them for that invitation. I think that this is a concrete manifestation of those hundreds of years of resistance and struggle against colonialism. This is a space that's happening today, so I want to acknowledge that. I mentioned earlier that I'm no longer Catholic, and that's because lighting candles to vírgenes and saints didn't make sense to me anymore. Right? And I don't think we should light candles to any particular theoretical traditions or schools of thought either. They're tools, they're instruments that we use. Some of these theories don't coalesce with each other. But depending on where you're standing in the world, when you're trying to make sense of how colonialism works, they work. So you have to be able, I would argue, to work from different theories that wouldn't necessarily fit into the theoretical orientation of a dissertation in a coherent way, but that do give you coherent ways of reading different realities that people live in the real world. So the argument is for something along the lines of a multi-voiced theoretical perspective.
And it dawns on me, right, that I'm being critiqued for this so-called hyper-masculinity, right, and this warrior-like mentality. And here I am, a professor, and I'm walking down my block, and I'm realizing I might get rolled up on. Real talk, right? Real talk. I might have to deal with a life or death situation just walking down my own block to the liquor store, and ain't nobody gonna give a shit if I have a PhD from Berkeley. That's what it means to live in a colonialized state, that you are constantly under attack. And your life is constantly threatened. This is not to mention the ICE raids that have happened on my block. This is not to mention the house right next door to me that got shot up 2 days ago. Holes in the walls, holes in the windows. Okay? This is my reality. And it is very difficult for me to come speak in some sanitized, academic, intellectual way, removing myself from the reality which suggests that just walking down my block I can get smoked.
No respect. The importance is that truth, ma'at, is speak truth and act truth, because it is important. Truth is great and truth is eternal. Justice arises from truth. So let us start from truth. We are a colonized people. We don't know it, because we have been reading their history and not world history. When we begin to educate ourselves by including our own history or our story into their history or his story, we shall come to understand the full story of why we are where we are. I start with these questions. Who are we? Why were we here? And how did we get where we are? Where are we going? And how will we get there?
Not a day goes by when Raza are not physically or psychologically brutalized. And like we talked about here, the main weapon used, or one of the main weapons used by the oppressor, is the type of education that the majority of our young people receive. Be changed. We're talking about an education that values humanity and life. We're talking about an education that values our environment, our planet, and protects Mother Earth. We're talking about an education that creates people who love humanity and who love freedom, and that they love it so much that they're willing to risk their lives for it. We're talking about an education that explains to all of us the necessity for revolution. An educated person must always have revolution on their minds. If you do not have revolution in your minds, then I'm sorry, you're not an educated person.
Thank you for supporting this organization. Hope you guys donate money so you can help people like me. Thank you.